Hi. So today's video is a tips and skills or techniques and skills kind of video. And another one I had done, I talked about creating a pause so that when we're trying to do something different, when we're trying to parent differently, when we're trying to relate differently, our brain is kind of working against us in the sense that it's kind of following old patterns, right? And so one of the best things we can do sometimes is to interrupt that pattern as a kind of timeout kind of thing. And in the last video I suggested, or in the last skills and techniques video, I suggested that one of the ways to do that was to take that pause, right? So we do the interrupt and then to kind of turn our attention toward ourselves, to our breath. We can put our hand on our heart, our hands on our thighs, and it's a way of kind of coming back into the body. And when I was writing the synopsis for that video, I realized that's not always our best option. So the reasons we would use that one would be when we want to come back into our body is when it's just that we're thinking a lot, or we're getting really cerebral about something, or we're starting to argue about details, or somehow we've gotten into kind of like spinning in our minds, or we're in a hurry, right? That's when we stop, we bring ourselves back to here. The reason we would not want to do that is if our agitation and our speed and our thinking has come from a place where we're triggered, where we're in a crisis, or where we're kind of bumping into trauma, right? So those are not the times to come back to your body, because often the body is the one that's agitated, and the body is the one sending the messages of like, we're in more of a realm of like not feeling safe. So for that kind of moment, when we take the pause, what we really want then is to anchor in something outside of ourselves. So then that's when it's helpful to take a pause, to look at a plant, to look at an object that's something that feels comforting, familiar, something that's associated with like security in your own home or in your own place or in a time that felt very secure, right? So we can invoke those memories or whatever, but what we want is something tangible and something outside of us. It could be a plant, it could be a stone, it could be just looking out and noticing the green grass or the clouds moving in the sky, but something that will start to regulate the nervous system without us having to point our attention back at ourselves when the body is the one that's feeling agitated, as we are when we hit trauma or crisis or a feeling of being triggered. So in those moments, we might want to like kind of scan the room. We might want to look for what catches our attention. Like in this case, I can see a tree out the window. I can see it kind of moving in the breeze. It starts to orient me to being right here, right now, like, but not so much in my body as having a location, having a place and a time around me instead of in me. And so I might be able to look at that and just start to just notice the tree and notice what it's doing and start seeing the facts. It's spring, so the leaf buds are there. I can see mostly the sticks. I can see them wave in the breeze. I can see when the breeze stops or slows. Different parts of the branch move differently, right? I start naming things that feel, that bring me back to sort of the data or the just reality of life, the sort of like, you can't argue with these things. The tree is really right there. The tree is really in this particular state in this moment, and the breeze is in a particular way, right? So, and that's just orienting back to our environment. And then that makes enough room often for us to start to find out how much capacity we have and what we need to tend to, and it interrupts the pattern. In this case, this isn't about just interrupting the pattern in order to like make a choice and move forward. This probably requires more tending, requires figuring out what's needed in the nervous system and bringing that. So it's really orienting less toward like where the other video was like, oh, here we are in our bodies and now we make our own decision, as opposed to sort of the pre-patterned one. That one's easy. This one feels a little more like this is the moment where we can assess. Can we now go back to that way? Can we go make a decision? Like, are we able to then come all the way back to the body? Or do we just need the safe environment? And then do we need something else? We might need to do some tending to ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to make ourselves a cozy, secure place. I call that building a nest. Lots of people, have that from multiple sources. The idea of calling it a nest, a weighted blanket, all the different ways that we take care of our nervous systems, connecting with a trusted person, things like that. So in this case, the interrupt usually results in needing self-care. The other one, when I was talking about just getting back in your body, that interrupt is one that gives us the chance to pivot when we're parenting and we're saying like, we're kind of ready to go give the standard, what our parents would have said answer, and we really want to do something else. So I hope that's helpful and gives a little more nuance and ability to kind of discern where you actually are in any of those moments, and a little support for crisis, trauma, and trigger times.